Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight for this lecture. This lecture will be dedicated to the 3 kidnapped Israeli boys that by now are already in the hands of the terrorists for 1 week, and nobody still knows what's with them. We all hope that they're alive and they will return safely. Yaakov Naftali ben Rachel Dvora, Gilad Michael ben Bat Galim, Eyal ben Iris Teshura. Bezrat Hashem, hopefully they'll be safe.
Amen.
I want to thank Warren, Phyllis, and Tanya and the family, the wonderful family that I keep getting more and more impressed by them every day, for organizing and helping all kinds of activities that I do. Baruch Hashem, thank you very much. And tonight the topic that we chose is Torah and science. The name of this lecture is combination of what the scientific world has discovered in the last 30 years mainly, sometimes a little more than that, and what we already had in the Torah 3,300 years ago. In different words, does the Torah knows what the scientists would find out 3,300 years later, or the Torah did not know? A part of this lecture, it's comparing Judaism to 80,000 religions and cults who started after that. Of course, we don't have the time tonight to do it, so we take a little touch of each. In case you have to leave in the middle of the lecture or even in the end, I put here 4 different kinds of CDs free of charge. Please take at least one of each, and then for your friends. Briefly, I will explain about the CDs. 3 of them are DVDs, and 1 of them is an MP3 collection, audio. You can see CD number 1. It's one out of many collections that I have, but this is for beginners level. This is for people that you ask them, do you believe in God? They say no. You ask them, do you believe the Torah was given by the creator of the world? They say no. You ask them, do you believe that Judaism is the only real divine religion? Or do you think there's other divine religion? He say, I don't know. Or I believe in other religion. Or I don't believe in any religion. This is basically the answer to all the questions that beginners have and all the doubts, the main doubts that they have. If you listen to that, it's 30 hours of lecture on 1 audio CD. You will find it like a treasure. Besides that, there are 3 DVDs here. One of them is this lecture that I'm giving now, but since tonight we are limited on time, so we only will do maybe half of it today, if we're lucky. The rest you can see on the DVD, Torah and Science. The second DVD that I brought you, it's also a very successful film that I made. All these films were translated to many languages and spread to more than 120 countries, and affecting the life of hundreds of thousands or perhaps millions of people, directly and indirectly. The reason that they're so successful, because after you watch them, there basically leaves no doubt. Any doubt you ever had is answered right there. If you really search for the truth, by spending few hours in front of the screen, you will find the answers to all your questions. You need some patience, you have to have concentration, and of course, after you watch them, you can contact me by email or by phone, and if you have still some more doubts, we can clarify them for you. So that's called life after death. Scientific proof that the real life begins in the time of death. Once the soul comes out of the body, the real journey of the human being will begin. For good or for bad, depend on how he lived right here. What he did in this short life, 80, 90 years that he was here, will determine everything that will happen with his soul after he leaves this world. How do I know it? After you watch the DVD, you will not have even 1% of 1% of 1% of a doubt. Any person from thousands of people who I gave it to them over the years, they came back and they say, amazing, I never believed that it can be proven scientifically. The way I did it, I collected all the scientific research by the non-Jews, parapsychologists, cardiologists, all kinds of specialists who deal with people that died and came back to life. Collecting evidence from people from different cultures all over the world, gather all the information, and find that all the people all over the world, regardless of religion and race or anything like that, they all describe the same exact thing that happened to them from the minute they died until they came back to life. And after collecting all the evidence of the last 30 years, in the last 15, 20 minutes of the film, I showed that everything that they just discovered was word by word in a Jewish Torah, only in a Jewish Torah, and in the oral Torah, which came together with the written Torah in Mount Sinai. Word by word, all the things that happened to the soul, all the things that the Jews and the Gentiles describe, I show word by word how the Gemara, the Talmud, the Zohar, the Kabbalah, and the Jewish Torah already spoke about it. As a simple fact, there was nothing special for the Chachamim of those generations. They knew all these details. Today, it's shocking the whole world, these discoveries by the parapsychologists and by all kinds of scientists. But for us, the Jews that kept the tradition, it's nothing new. We knew it all along. And now, thank God, it's getting published in secular channels. Until now, only the religious people knew, and not all of them, the ones who really learn. Now the whole world is beginning to discover. In survey in the United States, more than 70% of Americans answered that they're sure there's life after death. In previous surveys, 20, 30 years ago, the percentage were not so high. Why? It slowly comes to the mind of the people after watching and reviewing and reading people who came back to life and describe what happened to them. They slowly coming to the right conclusion. And the third DVD is the famous debate that I had with a Christian professor. There's a Christian professor that teach Christianity for 31 years in a Christian school of Manhattan. He was brought by a Christian missionary that was supposed to come to debate me. But after that missionary checked about me online, after the missionary that was supposed to come originally check on me about online, he did not show up. When the person who tried to organize it approached him, he said, next week I will show up, but I'm bringing an expert. So he brought that professor for Christianity. It was a 3 hours debate, and perhaps now millions of people watched it. After 1 million, I stopped to count. And hundreds of Christians already converted to Judaism, 7 priests among them, after they saw this shocking debate. Every normal Christian who checked this debate, it will be very surprising to me that he will waste another second on this religion after watching this debate. You don't have to believe me. All you have to do is to watch it. After you watch it, right here, it's called The Debate. It's in English language. The debate was in English. It has Hebrew subtitle. There's also subtitle to Russian, to Spanish, now to French, to other languages. They translated to many different languages. I will touch briefly some of the things. I don't want to turn this lecture into comparison between religion. Also, the last thing in my mind is to put anybody down, anyone who has a different belief than what I present here, or everyone who belongs to a different religion. Nothing here is personal. We are not arguing on a personal level here. I come and tell you what the truth of the Creator of the world according to the Torah. You have the right to criticize it. You have the right to show otherwise. You have the right to ask me questions. No problem. We're not running away. Judaism, unlike Christianity, has a different approach. In Judaism, you're allowed to ask any question you want as many times as you want, and no one will ever tell you you're not allowed to ask questions, son. It's a matter of belief. That's not what Judaism says. The opposite. Judaism says if you have doubts, it's very hard to practice. Therefore, you must clarify your doubts. The Torah, God referred to the Jews, you must know I am your God, not believe. Believing means not knowing. When a scientist says we believe that next year something like that would happen, everybody knows he has a major doubt. Why? If he did not have a doubt, he would say we know. He would not use the language we believe. When a person says we believe, or we believe so, or we believe that this and this will happen, everybody understands this kind of belief. It's not 100% guaranteed. But the Torah doesn't have such an approach. You have to believe. Believe in me. Nothing like that. Time to clean the sweat. So the Torah does not say to the Jews to believe in God, or to believe that the Torah is divine based on stories. No. The Torah say investigate, check in a history, check information in the Torah that leaves no doubt that only the creator of the world was able to write it. After you see that, what's the point of continue to argue? If you see there is a book here and you read information in it that nobody had the knowledge 3,300 years ago. For instance, the number of the stars in the universe. There was no telescope, no NASA. There was no way to know. But the Talmud describes already the number of the stars, and NASA confirms today. The renewal of the moon, 5 digits after the decimal point. There was no calculators, no mega computer, no spaceship, no $30 billion project by NASA with 5,000 employees. None of that. This is a book, primitive book, was given to the Jews 3,300 years, speaking about all the cycles of the moon in history, and tells you there will never be less than 29.530590, ever, by a 10,000 of a second. It was precise. No human being had this ability. Today, with the technology we have, we confirmed that exactly. The Americans and the Germans confirmed it. Other parts, as you can see in my film, that after you see it, the more you see, the more convinced you get. Let's start. We're going to go 5 or 6 steps. Please follow me in the next 5 minutes. Then it will make you understand the rest of the lecture easier. The first step is, we're asking now if there is a God. This is the level 1. You take an atheist, person that does not believe in anything, and you tell him, do you believe in God? And he say, no. Prove to me that he exists, I'll believe in him. How do you prove to a human being that God exists? Everybody knows that with the 5 senses that we have, you cannot prove his existence. You cannot touch him, you cannot smell him, you cannot hear him, you cannot taste him, and you cannot see him. There's no image. So therefore, if with the 5 senses you cannot prove he exists, it's unable to be proven scientifically. Therefore, it will always stay a myth, a theory, something that is always questionable. Therefore, leave me alone. Why should I waste my next 50 years of my life on something that have a major question mark in it? No? Makes sense or no? On the other hand, if a person did not drink for 3 days, and you have 100 glasses of water on the table in the middle of the desert, finally we discover water. But the person who owned the water, he told us, guys, one of the glasses has a major poison in it. As soon as you taste 1 drop from it, you drop dead. But I don't know which one. It got mixed. I don't really know which one. You can survive another day until you get to the city and have clean water, but it's very, very uncomfortable. Or you can take your chance, take a glass and drink. Otherwise, you won't die, but you suffer another 24 hours. 99.9% of the people that I've seen over the years in lecture when I presented that question, they say, they confirm that they will not dare to drink from the water. They rather suffer another day with dizziness and headache until they get to clean water. And I asked them, what is the chance that the glass has poison? What is the chance? They say 1%, 1 out of 100. I say exactly. With a 1% chance that you're going to die, you're unwilling to take that chance. Why? Because you're a smart person. Only a fool would drink from the water. Smart person will not take the risk. And everyone confirmed, you're right. Better to suffer another day and live another 50 years. Who wants to lose 50 years with a chance of 1% to lose it? So obviously, so far everything makes sense. There's only one question that it needs an explanation. Everyone here, I'm sure, without knowing none of you personally, has at least 1% chance that the Torah is the book of God. After all, it's the #1 seller in history. Millions of people believe in it. Millions of people read it. Millions of people keep parts of it, what's convenient at least. So to come and claim that you know 100% for sure that it's not the book of God, I don't think anyone here can claim such thing. There's always at least a 1% chance that God, after all, gave it, like the Jews claim. In that case, why would a person gamble to violate the rules of this book with a 1% chance that he would lose his eternity? Let me clarify myself. According to the Torah, a person that would live according to the laws of God that gave this book in a public event, which I'm going to explain soon, according to that book, it's you either win it or you lose it. Just like every other challenge in life. There is a list of restrictions, list of commandments that you should do. The Torah told you you are subject to reward and punishment. You follow all the instructions. The more you do, the more rewarded you will get. The less you do, the more punish you will get, or you lose the reward. That's also a kind of punishment, to lose the reward. After all, the Torah says one day we die, the soul comes out of the body goes to the grave, and the soul stands in front of God for 1 year trial. That's why Jews say Kaddish for someone that died for 1 year. It's nothing, it's coincidence. Everything is very, very calculated from the time we got the Torah from Hashem, from God. Therefore, according to the Torah, if you believe that there is 1% chance that the Torah is the book of God, if you are clever, as I hope that you are, you owe it to yourself not to rest a second until you will clarify for sure that this is not the book of God. As long as there is at least 1% chance that it's the book of God, a normal human being cannot sleep well at night. Because according to this book, if this book is from God, that's my end for eternity. How can I sleep well? I have to clarify, one way or the other. If I'll find that it's the book of God, I better change before it's too late. If I will find mistakes in a book, then I know for sure it's not the book of God. It's very easy to prove that a book is not from God. It's harder to prove that the book is from God. But it's very, very easy to prove that the book is not from God. How? All you have to do is to find one mistake in a book. If you find one human error in the book, then you know this book is not the book of God. Let me give you an example. If I came here tonight and I have a book in my hand, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, I am the new prophet. God gave me this book to give it to people. If you're smart, you follow me. You follow me, I will direct you what to do. I'm your leader. Every question you have to ask me. Well, right away, you would say to me, listen, how do we know you're not one of these millions mental cases? Everyone, you know how many emails I get every week? I'm the Messiah, I am the Son of God, I'm this, tell the Jews that I'm coming. People from all over the world. You see my emails, it's going to be the biggest joke ever. How do you know I'm not one of them? How do you know? The answer is very simple. If you take my book, and you open it in the first page, and you read, one day, there were 2 buildings standing. 2 airplanes came, and they crashed into the building. Within minutes, the building became dust. 3,000 people died, and it happened in King's Highway in Brooklyn. That's what the book says. So far, everything was correct until the last sentence. Every fool knows it happens in Manhattan, right? No one has a dilemma where it happens, right? It's very clear to everyone. Millions of people saw it, witnessed that it happened in downtown Manhattan. Now, after you read that critical mistake in my book, is it worth it to waste another minute on this book to investigate if it's the book of God or not? No. Would you waste another minute?
No.
You know right away God is not such a fool to write such a thing, right? Even a person would not make such a mistake. If the book has such a mistake, then we know it's not from God. So far it makes sense what I said?
Yeah.
So here is an example. The New Testament, the major Christian book, that claimed that God gave part 2. He gave part 1, it's the Old Testament, and he gave part 2. It says over there, as you can see in my debate, in Acts 7, that's the source, that the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, where the mothers and the fathers of the Jewish nation is buried, is in a city of Shechem, Nablus, when every foolish Israeli boy in kindergarten knows it's in Hebron. That's the answer. Every little Jewish kid that went to school, you ask him, tell me, where is the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? Everybody knows Hebron. You ask the American Gentiles, where is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is buried? They'll tell you, in Hebron, I was there. I even prayed there. Ask any Muslim. They demonstrate there every day. They shoot there. Ask them, where are you shooting? They say, we're shooting in Hebron. You say, but it says in a Christian book that it's not in Hebron, it's in Nablus, in Shechem. Abdallah would get confused. So you tell me where I shoot? I know where I shoot. We're shooting here every day for years already. There's only one problem. This Abdallah, who follow the Quran, also believe in JC. The Muslims believe also in Christianity. They believe that JC was a messenger of God. Just like all the prophets of the Jews, there's another one. Now they claim they got another prophet, which his name is Muhammad. So here you go. There's one mistake right there, that the cave is not where the New Testament says. It cannot be from God, this book. In my opinion, that's enough. You don't need more than that. The rest is waste of time. But in case you're still not convinced, if God gave another book, so obviously it's the same writer, is it possible that he forgot thousands of details from his first book? Is it possible? Okay, now in the book of the Torah, when Christians admit that God gave it to the Jews in a public event, it says that Abraham bought that cave from Ephron Achiti. But in the New Testament, it says Shechem ben Hamor, different person. What happened to God? He doesn't remember who Abraham bought the cave from? Another example. It says over there, Jacob went to Egypt with 75 people. But reviewing in the Torah clearly, any Torah all over the world, in any language you want, there's no 2 Torahs, there's only one. Anywhere you go, you see Jacob went to Egypt with his entire family, and were all 70 people. What happened to God? He forgot if it was 70 or 75? How can I rely on such a book? I just told you 3 mistakes, but I have 3,000 mistakes. You're going to see about 50, 60 of them in a debate. There was no time. I had a whole list, but time ran out. But I think it's enough to see 50 critical human errors in a book to know that God never gave the book. One mistake that the New Testament has, it's so critical that if I was a Christian, I would do everything I can to cut those first 2 pages from the New Testament, no matter what. I'd dedicate my life to cut it out. Right? As long as it's there, it doesn't give this religion any hope. Why? Let me give you an example what I'm talking about. The New Testament begins with a story of a Jewish person named Yosef that met a woman named Maria. Doesn't matter, it's the same one. So Joseph and Mary fell in love. And they got engaged. Engagements of 2,000 years was chuppah and kiddushin. He married her. The only difference is that they did not have intimate relation yet. But everything else is husband and wife. But there is one more step to finalize the marriage. In the old days, the tradition of the Jewish nation was that after you put the ring on your wife's hand, you go away for a few months and you come back with some money that you can build a home. In the meantime, they stay by the parents, she said. You come back with some money and you build yourself a home. You didn't need $15 million to build a house right here. It was enough to bring $500 you know, and you buy some wood. You don't need Home Depot. You go to the forest. You take a few workers with you, $100 each. They chop some trees, and they build you a beautiful home. And then they get some tar. They cook it. They close the holes, and you have a home. It was an Italian marble, no jacuzzi. The electric wasn't so sophisticated in those days. But that's it. That's the way life was. So now, Yosef or Jose went out of town, and he came back after a few months, and he had a very big surprise. His beloved fiancée wife had already a serious belly. He asked her, what's going on here? How are you pregnant if I never lay my finger on you? So she said, you suspect me that I cheated? God came to me in a dream, and He made me pregnant, and this kid will be a holy kid, and that's how the story of Christianity begins. Now, how many witnesses this story had? A woman went to sleep. Most likely she cheated. She has to protect her life, because in those days when a woman cheated on her husband, they didn't put her on television and bought her a car as a gift. They had rules in those days. All people, Jews and Gentiles, if a woman cheated on her husband in those days, it was a direct execution with no mercy. That was the rules all over the world. In some parts of the world, it's still like that. It still is.
Jews too?
Jews and non-Jews. Jews and non-Jews. So therefore, she had a major incentive to protect her life. What is she going to say? She went with a Roman soldier? What is she going to say? So she had to make a story that will leave some doubt that nobody can execute her. So she came up with that dream. How many witnesses saw the dream? No one. No one ever saw that dream. But that's not the major problem here. The New Testament wants to prove that JC is a grandson of King David. Why the writer of the New Testament, why he decided to start the book with the description of the genealogy of JC to link him all the way to King David? Because in the part 1 of God, the Torah, it says the Mashiach, Messiah, ben David, son of David. He can be the most righteous person in history, but if he's not from the family of King David, he cannot be the Messiah. The Torah was very clear. Mashiach ben David. The Messiah, son of David, and all the prophets repeated the same concept. You must be from the family of King David. Therefore, the New Testament now claiming that JC is the Messiah, and they have another claim that he's the Son of God. Depends which Christian you ask, because some Christians say this is the case, some say this is the case, some say both of them is the case. But regardless of the claims right now, they try to link JC to King David, which makes sense. We understand why they're doing it, because otherwise you cannot claim that he's the Messiah and the entire religion will collapse before it even started. But there's one major problem. When you check, there are 4 books in the Evangelist, Mark, John, Matthew, and Luke, 4 different books, which together, putting together as the part 2 of the book of God, the New Testament. In 2 of the books, they describe the genealogy of JC all the way to King David. There's only one problem. There are 22 mistakes in a list. From 30-something generations, all the way from JC to King David. In one book, there is a list, and in the other book, there's a complete different list. Different names, different people. So what happened to God? He doesn't know who's the father and grandfather and a grand-grandfather. He has a dilemma. Who was the father of the Messiah? He doesn't know from what family he is. Doesn't make sense that such a thing would happen. In the same book that they claim that it's coming from God, it has 2 different lists. How can it be? Imagine in a Torah that it say Abraham gave birth to Isaac, Isaac gave birth to Jacob, Jacob gave birth to Joseph. Joseph gave birth to Menashe. Now you come to another chapter in the Torah. Menashe gave birth to Abraham. Abraham gave birth to John. John gave birth to whatever you want. Now you're puzzled. What's going on with God? What kind of God is this? What? Over here, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, and Menashe, and over here, complete different names, different order? How can I rely on such a book? But that's not the major problem. believe it or not. There's a bigger problem than this. What is it? When you ask the Christian Pope, we did it 15 years ago, not the previous Pope, the one before, the Polish one. There was Polish, German, and Argentinian now. So they asked the Polish one, we sent him a letter, and asked him, who's the mother of JC? The answer was Mary. No argument, everybody see where the baby comes from. Cannot deny it, okay. We ask who the father is. The answer is God. God is the father. Say, is God is a grandson of King David? Of course not. God is the grandson of King David, come on. Of course not. So why did you waste a page and a half in the beginning of your religion to link Joseph the carpenter all the way to King David if right in the next line you claim that he was out of town and he has no connection to the baby? He's not the biological father of the baby. Shock of their life they get. Every Christian priest that I spoke to him about this subject, within seconds did everything he can to run away. He just couldn't look at my face anymore from the embarrassment. Why? None of them has an answer to those questions. I'm still waiting by now 5 years for this professor to answer one of the questions I asked him in a debate. You know what's their answers? I have somebody better for you to debate. I said, why do we need another debate and another debate? What is it, a show here? We're not on prime time television here. We're searching for the truth. You have the question, email the answer. Publish the answer to the world. Make a YouTube video. Do something. They don't have. Of course they don't have. Because every page in their book is full of human errors. But let's leave the rest for the CDs. Do your homework later on when you have time, watch it, and then you understand. Islam, 1.5 billion people, most of them religious. Some of them would give their life for this book. Is it possible the Quran is the book of God? The answer is absolutely not. It takes exactly 5 minutes, just like with Christianity, to prove it cannot ever be the book of God. First problem, one day Muhammad came from the desert and claimed that Angel Gabriel gave him the Quran. According to his book, he was alone there. Nobody ever witnessed that event. So it's his story. You want to believe it, believe it. You don't want to believe it, you don't want to believe it, fine, it's up to you. Nobody can ever testify. He himself admitted that he was alone. Mary was alone in a dream, nobody can prove it. Muhammad was alone, and 80,000 religions that started after Judaism always started with the story of one individual without even one witness. Yet in the Torah, when God sent Moses to take the Jews out of Egypt, there was 1 week argument. He refused to go. He said to God, they'll make a fool out of me. They won't believe me. They say, we don't believe you that God spoke to you. This was in a burning bush. When God sent him, I'm preparing you to go take my nation out of Egypt, Moshe refused to go, Moses. He said, anyway, no one would believe me. What, I come out of nowhere and say God spoke to me and you expect them to believe me? So now, God should have said to him, just be quiet and do what I tell you. Don't argue. Who gave you permission to argue with me? I'm your friend? We went to the same college? What's the story here? God should have said to him, just be quiet and follow my instructions. Trust me, I know what I'm saying. They won't believe, they believe, leave it to me. I say, take your stuff and go. But that's not what he said. He said to him, of course they won't believe you. Why should they? If they'll believe in you, they are the dumbest people. But wait, I'm going to put you in Mount Sinai and speak to you in a public event. And after all of them would hear me speaking to you, they will believe in you for eternity. So what did God say to humanity? When I give a religion, I am interested that everyone would follow it. Why should I give it to a woman in a dream? That it will always stay 50% doubt, a matter of faith. No, I want everyone to know that it's real. Why would I give it to Muhammad in the desert out of nowhere, that nobody ever saw it? Why? If that's the way I wanted to give the religion, I would give it to Moses in a burning bush and that's it. Why did I have to make the whole show a Broadway show? Sirens, the ground is shaking, fire everywhere. Why? The answer is, of course, because the Creator is interested that people will follow the book of laws. Therefore, he gave it in a public event. But it's very interesting. Muhammad did not know how to read and how to write, according to his own testimony. Muhammad had 4 different wives, and in his lifetime, each one of them already had a different Quran. There are many hundreds of different Qurans. Hundreds of different Qurans. But the Quran is nothing compared to the New Testament. How many New Testaments versions are in the world? Do you know? To save time, I can tell you that you can make a bridge all the way from here to Zimbabwe, and you would walk on the books, and you still will not finish half of the amount of how many New Testaments are existing out there. You understand what I'm saying here or no? There are more than 200,000 different books. Different names, different dates, different details, different spelling, different grammar. If God really gave it, it's gone from the world. It's gone. Which means even if one of them was a divine book, anyway it's gone. God mixed in the whole world with 200,000 fake copies. Do you understand what I'm saying here or not? In case you did not understand, I'll tell you something that will make you understand. The Jewish Torah have 304,805 letters. When they want to send it from Israel to America, there's 2 ways to do it. One, to finish it in Israel, and then you have to hold it in your hands. You cannot put it down. You have to take 10 people with you. That's the laws. And for 12 hours or 14 hours with security, for 1 second you cannot put it down. You have to hold it non-stop. It's a very, very big problem, especially with tight security today. They won't let you. They're going to start open it, and they're going to start put their hands inside. It's a very big embarrassment for the Torah. So nobody finished the Torah when they send it to America. They leave 1 letter out or 1 word out. They pack it in a bag, big bag. They put it in a luggage, and the workers of JFK, they hold it like this, and they throw the Torah like this on a pile of the suitcases. Why the Jews don't care? Because 1 letter is missing. 1 letter is missing, it's not divine anymore. It's not the original text of God. 1 letter is missing, you modified it, it's nothing, it's a piece of napkin. Did you understand what I just told you? That's what God says. 1 letter is different, it's a napkin. Everything is complete, it's a very, very holy book. Now, if you have 200,000 different New Testament, which one was the original one? You will never know. If you have hundreds of different Qurans, in the life of Muhammad, already each one of his wife have a different text. Why? They used to copy it with feathers. Dip it in ink, write. Every day a little more. They forget. They skip a line. They skip a chapter. They skip a whole page. There's different versions. Google. Girsaot. I do it all in Hebrew, but I'm sure they have it in English. Different versions of the Quran. You won't believe what you're going to read. Different versions of the New Testament. More than 200,000. When I said it to the priest, he did not understand me in the beginning. Once he got what I'm talking about, he said, oh, it's not 200,000. All together, if you combine all the versions, it's 5,000. I didn't know if to laugh in his face or not. I was really holding my laugh. Do you understand how a person does not understand what religion is and he teaches religion? A book of God has no problem for alterations or modifications. It has to be exactly what God gave. You took 1 letter out, you finished it. If everyone would make 1 mistake by copying it, after 1,000 years it will be a completely different book. In the Quran, you find that Pharaoh and Haman had a meeting how to go and fight against the God of the Jews. The writer of the Quran knew that in the Torah, Haman was a wicked person, and Pharaoh was a wicked king. He wanted to make a story that looks real, so he made a meeting between Ahmadinejad to another Hitler together, put them together, and they now planning how to kill the Jews. It makes a lot of sense. Two anti-Semites, that's what they want to do. There's only one problem. If you write today in a book that Ahmadinejad and Adolf Hitler had a meeting how to stop the Jews, what's the first thing that people would ask you? Where exactly they met? In hell or in Berlin? Where? Hitler, supposedly 60 years back, they're already dead, even though now they claim he escaped. Did you hear that? There's no evidence that he escaped. He didn't really die. That's what they say. One way or the other, get the point here. The writer of the Quran did not know the chronological order of Jewish history. He looked in the Tanakh, Megillat Esther, and he looked in Genesis, the story of Pharaoh, and he took two people and put them together, but there was 1,000 years apart between them. They can never see each other. According to the Quran, do you know who the uncle of JC is? Who is the uncle of JC? Moses. According to the Quran, Moses is his uncle. Why? Miriam, the sister of Moses, according to the Quran, Moses is her brother, so she comes, Maria bat Amran, it says. He said, what did you do? How do you have a baby when you don't have a husband? She said, don't kill him. He will bring us a lot of salvation. He's a holy kid. And the Quran say, Miriam bat Amram. So they're speaking about JC, that his mother did not have a husband, that she gave birth. And they called the mother of JC, Miriam. They mixed her with Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, that lived 1,300 years earlier. Did you ever see more ridiculous mistakes in any book in a history? Forget about religion. Show me another book that has so many ridiculous mistakes. My conclusion to the story, even though I did not show you 1% of the mistakes that I have, that those two books were written by people in a maximum first grade level. Their knowledge in Judaism and history and about God was maximum in first grade level. I know my son in first grade knows better than the writer of the New Testament and better than the writer of the Quran, and I'm not exaggerating. Because some of those mistakes I asked him, and he learns in yeshiva, and he knew the right answers. But in that book, they had mistakes. So let's move on. If you still have dilemma, or if you still have some doubts, or you believe in Christianity, or you believe in this religion, and all the other Buddhism, one day Buddha showed up 2,400 years ago, and he claimed he saw the light. How many people were there that Buddha saw the light? No one. Somebody come and tell you he saw the light. What makes you so fanatic to run after him? How do you know he's not fooling you? It's right there, 50% chance. Now let's talk a little bit about Judaism. What about Judaism? The Jews received the Torah in front of more than 3 million witnesses. One day, the Jews came out of Egypt, and 7 weeks later, they gathered around Mount Sinai, and there was a public event that God spoke to Moses. How many words he spoke to him? Only 2 sentences, that's it. The first and the second commandment. When he was about to read the third commandment to the public, the nation of Israel started to scream and to cry from panicking. From the event, it was so scary, they started to scream as the Torah described to Moses, please, tell God not to talk to us, we're scared. You go up to the mountain, speak to him, everything he will say, we will do. So Moses answered them, don't be panicked. God is not here to harm you after all the miracles he did for you. He's here to test you. Would you keep his covenant or not? This is described in a chapter of Jethro in the middle of the Torah. The Jews heard God speaking. No one else in history heard God speaking. Only the Jewish nation. Once, and that's it. Never ever repeated. Individuals had prophecies. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Joel, all these prophets, yes, individuals. There were prophets before the Torah. Abraham was a prophet. King David is after the Torah. He was a prophet. There's many different prophets. Before there was also prophets. But we care about the Torah, the book of God, how it started. How do I know? I'm a credist. I don't believe in things that people tell me. I don't care if they have a beard and they have a nice sombrero. I don't care what their title is. I only care about hard evidence. I will not dedicate my whole future and my whole life and all the decision to a book when I have one tiny doubt about that book. I won't. It will not give me a rest. Maybe I'm, like they say in Israel, grinding water. You grind water 50 years. What do you have after 50 years? Same water. What did you do for 50 years? I don't want to fall into this foolish category. So now, how do I know really the Jews received the Torah in Mount Sinai? Maybe somebody made it up. Maybe it's a fiction story. In Hollywood, they made a lot of fiction stories. How do I know? One day somebody planted a book in history. Another 20, 30 people found it. They taught their children, and all of a sudden it became a nation, and today we are fooled by it, just like Christians are fooled by their book. What's the difference? The Christian made up a story, it's full of errors. The Torah does not have even one error, but maybe the Torah is also fake. Fine, the writer of the Torah was more clever not to make human errors. But how do I know the Jews really got the Torah from God? Let's go one step at a time. One step at a time. If I came here today and I try to convince all of you to become religious according to the strict laws of the Torah, you have to dress modest, you have to eat strictly kosher, you have to observe the Sabbath, you're not allowed to light fire, you're not allowed to drive a car, you're not allowed to kill, you're not allowed to steal, you're not allowed to speak bad about people. There's a list of restrictions. Your first reaction would be, how do I get rid of this guy? The faster the better, no? Right or wrong? First thing you would say, Warren, the sushi is delicious, but why did you get me here? He wants me now to observe Shabbat? Come on, what, is he fanatic? Crazy? I'm a businessman, a big shot. What is somebody like me going to do on Shabbat if I cannot drive my Rolls Royce? Come on. So now, the answer is it possible that in a moment, I'm going to go like this, and all of you become rabbis? What's my odds? 0, right? You give me 1% chance? No, nobody gives me 1% chance. All right, I agree with you. There's really no chance. If I get one of you to keep, that's already a major achievement, right? But in reality, a large group of people became religious overnight. Let me explain. When I came to you now, and I say God gave me the book, all of you have to listen to me. Now you open the book, and you're trying to find out if God really gave me the book. You're giving me 10-minute chance. 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I have to make my case. So you say it like this. Okay, prove to me that God gave you the book. I said, don't have to believe me, just read the book. You open the book, and you say, and you read, I am your God. Your eyes saw what I did to you in Japan. I took you out of Japan to Russia. The Russian came to attack you. I destroyed all of them. I gathered for you big boats. I gathered all of you on the boats. You went in the ocean. The pirates came to attack you. I drowned all of them. You arrived to New York. I sent you limousines. They brought you all the way to Kings Point. I gave you beautiful homes in Great Neck. And now you're eating delicious sushi. And that's why, from now on, you listen to everything I tell you. What's going to be right after you read that? Everyone will be on the floor from laughing. Japan? Never been in Japan. Moscow? 2 words I know in Russian. Chorasho and spasiba. That's it. I've never been there. Pirates? Boats? House? This guy is hallucinating. One person, regardless who he was, made up the book. Some of you may claim the book is fake. Let's see. When a faker writes a divine book, he knows God never gave it to him, right? Muhammad wrote the Quran. The Quran does not even have one prophecy, but they call him Prophet Muhammad. If you find me one prophecy in the Quran, I give you a prize. A big one. There's no prophecies. Not even one. Why Muhammad did not write prophecies in the Quran? He knew his limitation. A person that is not prophet knows what's going to happen 100 years from now. How is he going to take a risk writing it in a book that then everyone would know that he's a liar? The New Testament has prophecies, not even one. But 200 years after it was written, the head of the Christian church in Europe made a declaration that the Jews will never ever return to the Holy Land. Why? God gave them 2 chances, and he destroyed both temples, and he left them. He left them, and the covenant is annulled. Therefore, the Jews will never go back to Israel because they had their chances and they blew it. When the Jews return to Israel, millions of them, I'm not talking the state of Israel. I'm talking the fact that there are millions of Jews living in the Holy Land right now, with or without state, regardless. The Israelis sent to the Vatican a question. How do you explain this declaration that the Jews will never return back to the Holy Land? Do you know what was the answer of the Vatican? I give you one guess. You show them mistake in their promise. They say the Vatican does not recognize the state of Israel. What's the question? What's the answer? Who spoke about the state of Israel? What, we're talking about politics now? The question was, Jews returned to the land even before Israel became a state. 7 years before, 1880. The first Jews started to come to Israel, bought all the lands, dried the swamps, established 6 different cities, and only 50 years later made a state. But there were already many, many thousands of Jews living in Israel, owning properties. According to them, it can never happen. One chance they took, and it was proven wrong. Now, when I come to you and I'm faking a book, I sat a week at home and I wrote the book from A to Z, everything is lies. I made it up. What incentive do I have to come fool all of you to become my followers? Number 1, money, right? It's very good. Everyone will give donation. I'll be a rich guy. 2nd, power. People love power. 3, control. I think I'm the smartest, and it's good for all of you to listen to me. 4th, I want to be memorized in a history as one of the legends. 5, what 5? I may be a mental case. That's it. That's all the 5 options, right? Money, honor, control, and I think I'm the best. You need a leader, therefore I'm going to fake the book and I will have control over you. Now, let's see one thing at the time in the Torah. The Torah, it's an easy book to keep or not? No. Very hard. There's a lot of things to keep. If Moshe, or the writer of the Torah, call him whatever you want, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, was a faker, first thing he would do is make a very easy book to keep. Yeah. Why he would make so many laws that everyone would hate him? He would make 10, 20 laws. Don't have to give 10% from your income. 1%, it's enough if you feel good. 2nd, wear whatever you want. 3, eat whatever you want. Just like Christians, everything is allowed. Everything is allowed. And if there is few sins, you come to the Father, and the Father say, no problem, son, God forgive you. And what about the suffering, Father? Don't worry, JC is going to take your suffering. Shh. He vacuumed everything. Now he's going to suffer for you. Very hocus pocus. You can kill, can murder, rape, steal, genocide, whatever. You come, Father, okay, put $50 donation. Okay, confess, son, regret, God is merciful, no problem. And don't worry about the suffering, no punishment. JC takes everything, end of story. Beautiful life. Why would someone resist such a religion? Nice, holiday, Santa, gifts, lights, hallelujah, piano. Why not? Give me one reason why a person would be a critic of this religion. People like holidays. People like family gathering. Generally, most people believe in a God So why to go against this religion if it's so easy to keep? Beautiful. We wear whatever you want. You do whatever you want. Most of the things are allowed. Now, the writer of the Torah would not make it such a hard mission. Now, when you review the 613 laws, this restaurant, the address is 613. I said to myself, has to be a kosher place. When I saw the address, yeah. So now, there are 613 laws in the Torah. How many of them make sense in human logic? Not even 20%. You should not kill, makes sense. You should not steal, makes sense. Don't speak bad about your friend, makes sense. Right? Be a kind human being, makes sense. Give donation to the poor, makes sense. Respect your father and mother, makes sense. Now let's talk about the list that does not make sense. You made a sin. What is the sin? You wrote with a pencil on Shabbat something. Now you have to take a goat, go all the way to Jerusalem in the old days on a donkey, carry the goat on your back, all the way until you finally arrive to Jerusalem. You come, you stand on there online, they take the sheep, the Kohen, here Mr. Cohen, take the sheep, slaughter it, burn it on the altar, and you scream, God forgive me, I wrote him a telephone number on Shabbat, put it on the altar, and he said, make sure next time you don't do this violation. If you give a law like this to the people, they like you or they hate you? They right away became your biggest enemy. Next thing, people like to eat cheeseburger. What do you care what they eat? You're a faker. You made that book, right? You claim God gave you the book, but you know it's not from God. So why you tell them you're not allowed dairy and meat mix? What do you care? Let them eat. Why do you care that 7 days a year they're not allowed to eat 5 kinds of grain? You cannot have any bread, any spaghetti. What do you care if they drink beer or whiskey or not? Why do you torture them to clean the home? Next thing, there is a mitzvah. If you see a bird in a nest, you get rid of the bird and you take the chicks, you put them somewhere away from the mother. The mother comes back to the nest. The mother sees the chicks disappear. Thanks to that, you will have long life. That's what the Torah says. Do you think a human being made up that mitzvah? Especially when in the same Torah it says to have mercy on animals. Now, not to torture them. You have to feed them before you feed your children and yourself. There's a list of rights that the animals have in the Torah. All of a sudden, a bird. You see the bird sitting in a nest. Get rid of the mother. Take the eggs or something. Put them away. Thanks to that, you have long life. What's the connection? What human being would make such a strange law? We don't understand what's going on here. One day, he decided that we leave the $10 million mansion and we sit in a little sukkah. $2,000. You build a sukkah. You sit, winter, raining, this. What do you care where I eat? You want to make me holiday? Make me a holiday. I have to sit outside in the backyard with all the flies. Right? 80% of the laws not only do not make sense in human logic, are against human logic. What faker would make such a law that it goes against his purpose? If my purpose is to make all of you my servant, I have to give you a logical religion that you're all gonna like. If I'm giving you all the reasons to hate it, what am I doing to myself? Defeating my own purpose. So far it's clear. One of the rules are, every one of you who is married to his aunt must get divorced. Many, many thousands of them were married to the aunt. The father has a young sister. She's your aunt, but she's younger than you. You marry her. It was perfectly legal. Today, until today, cousins get married. You have a cousin, she likes you, you can get married. It's perfectly kosher. Now listen. Yitzchak has a father named Yosef. Yosef has a sister named Miriam. Yitzchak is 22, Miriam is 19. They like each other. They grew up in around the same tent. It's all family together. So they make a party and they got married. One day, they have 10 children. Mr. Moses coming down from the mountain with a scroll, and he begins to read. ערוות דודתך לא תגלה, דודתך היא. All of you who've been married to their aunt, there is a new law now. No one is allowed to touch his aunt. She's forbidden to him, just like a sister. Thousands of them started to scream with tears. What are you saying? You're breaking our families. We have 10 children. We love each other. I'm very sorry. What do you want from me? This is what God gave me. All of you must get divorced. These people would love Moses or would do everything they can to kill him before he continued to talk. Somehow all of them became religious and kissed his hand. Thank you, Rabbi. Everything God said will do. What happened? How all of a sudden, until 200 years ago, all the Jews all over the world, almost all of them were religious? Did you know that? Check the history. Every country, until Moshe Mendelssohn, Rabbi Moses Mendelssohn, 220 years ago, an Orthodox rabbi in Europe that decided that Jews can leave the yeshiva from time to time and go to college. Up to that day, almost all the Jews all over the world were fully Orthodox religious. In Syria, in Yemen, in Iran, in Iraq, in Poland, in Russia, all the Jews, there was no such thing secular court. The Jews have the rabbi, the dayan, the head of the community, they all live in ghettos, they separated from the Gentiles. This is the Jewish history all over the world. In fact, there is one country that until this moment never had one secular Jew in the history of that country. Who knows which one? Yemen. Jews went to Yemen more than 2,500 years ago, approximately. For 2,500 years almost, more or less, until this moment, in the history of Yemen, there was not even one Jew violating Shabbat. There are Yemenites that came to Monsey 10 years ago. See them with the clothing of Yemen. I went and asked. They speak Hebrew, but Hebrew of the Torah. They didn't learn Hebrew in Israel. They learned from the Torah, so they speak like psukim. Vayomer avi elai. That's how they talk. Very interesting. So I came to one of them. I met him in a mechanic shop. I told him, let me ask you a question. How many Jews are in Yemen? He said about 300 left. I said to him, tell me, in Yemen, do you have secular people? All of the Yemenites started to laugh. Ma pitom? I said to him, never been a Yemenite Jew mechalel Shabbat? He said, no. I said, never, ever, now? I said, no. He said, I said to him, what happened if you have a fight with another Jew? You go to the Yemenite court by the Gentile? He said, even if you want to go to them, they force you to go to the rabbi, the Muslims. They won't accept you if they know you're a Jew. Why? They have a tradition in their country, 2,500 years, we never judged the Jew. What are you coming to us? Do you understand what happened to the Jewish nation? It started with going to become modern, and the Jews left the Torah and forgot about Hashem. Now let's move on. The Torah was given to the Jews written in oral Torah. There is no way to understand one word from the written Torah, even if it looks easy. There is no way to understand one word, not a sentence, not a word, of the written Torah without reviewing what the oral Torah has to explain about that word. Sometimes the same word would mean two different things, depending where it is in the Tanakh, in the Torah. If it's here, it means that way. And if it's attached to this word, it means a different. Very interesting. It's very, very complicated. You have to be a real educated professor to know the concept and the combination between the written and the oral law. But let me give you two examples for you to understand. The Torah said to the Jews to circumcise the baby in the 8th day. When you review the written Torah, what does it say over there? Only cut the orla in the 8th day. That's it. It doesn't say where the orla is. It doesn't say what to do when the baby is yellow. It doesn't say what happened if two of his brothers already died. It doesn't say who should cut, Jew or non-Jew, male or female, day and night. What happened if you forgot to do it in the 8th day? Can you do it later or you missed it for good? There are thousands of questions relate to circumcision. Not one of them is in the written Torah. The written Torah say, and God said to Moses, every male born in the 8th day you circumcise his orla. Where does it say in the Torah where the orla in the body is? Nowhere. It's a new word. Nobody ever heard this word before. Right away, 3 million Jews. What happened when you have 10 Jews in one room? How many opinions you have in a room? 20. Very good. I didn't want to say 30. You say 20, we'll take what is 20 opinions right away. Now, 3 million Jews, Moshe bring a scroll, assume there is no oral Torah. Assume. Now you have to interpret what the written Torah say. Itzi come and say, I think Orla, God meant this part of the ear. Why? Because it doesn't hurt. Look, come, bring scissors, cut. I survive. It's a dead skin. Say, no, but it's still painful. It cannot be that God wants us to suffer. Probably he meant the nail. Cut one of the nails. How do you know which nail? They begin to fight, they want to kill each other. How do you know where the orla is? Maybe he meant the hair, maybe he meant the toes. Maybe it didn't mean in the body, it's only metaphoric. How would you know? Right away, there is no way to circumcise any baby because no one would know how. I'll give you another example. You probably saw Jews putting tefillin on the head and on their hands every morning when they pray, they put tefillin. Or if you go to the Western Wall, the Chabad over there, they put. Did you ever wonder what these two boxes are? What are they made from? Those two symmetric square boxes. What are they made for? Aluminum, plastic, metal, leather. Leather from which animal? The cow. Does it look like leather, those boxes? There's nothing to do with leather. It looks like... Let me explain to you something. The Torah say, God made a covenant with the Jewish nation that they have to put it on their heart and on their soul every day. On the heart and the soul. So you tie it to the arm and you attach it to the heart. And then you put it on the soul. The soul is in the brain. Every day you dedicate your soul and your evil inclination that it's in the heart to God. Even for 5 minutes. You say, Shema Israel, God, you are the only God. There's no one but you. And you take it off. How do you prepare this tefillin? It does not say anywhere in the written Torah. It doesn't say the word tefillin. It doesn't say from what animal. It doesn't say how to make it. It does not say what to write inside. There are more than 1,000 instructions how to make tefillin. Not even one of them is in the written Torah. And all Jews all over the world, from the time of Moses until today, make the same tefillin verbally from father to son with the same exact details. If you skip one detail, it's not kosher, the tefillin. You have to bury it in the ground. Where the information came from if there's no oral Torah? I give you one last example. One last example. On Shabbat. Shabbat. The Torah said there are 39 restrictions on Shabbat. The Torah also says that someone who violates Shabbat, it's an eternal covenant between the Jewish nation and God. That God created the world in 6 days, in the 7th day he rested. And therefore the Jews have to behave exactly like God. And the Torah says that a Jew that refused to keep to observe the Shabbat, the covenant, basically with his own hands cut his soul out of the eternal world to come for eternity. He loses his share to the world to come. Where does it say it in the Torah? Mechalel Shabbat, mot yumat. Mot in this world, yumat in the afterworld. Venichreta anefesh ha'i miYisrael. Nefesh means the soul. I'm going to cut that soul for my nation for eternity. I gave him a chance. He lost his chance. He will not get the reward that I promised to the righteous Jews ever. Why? For breaking this eternal covenant. Where does it say in the written Torah how to keep Shabbat? It only says a few things. Such a covenant with such an importance, matter of life and death, matter Matter and life and death of the soul for eternity. And God would not explain anywhere how to do it. And then he said that the people will get executed and they don't know how to do it. What kind of God is this? Imagine a father come to his son and say to him, I want you to do this program in a computer. If not, I throw you out of the house. So the son says, okay, tell me what to do. He say, figure it out. You look, the boy looks at the book, doesn't say anything about it. And the father threw him out. What kind of father is that? Lunatic. At least give him the tools to pass the test. Is it possible that God gave in a public event, gave us the Torah that we read in the synagogues, and did not explain to us how to keep one of the 613 mitzvot? Not even one instruction on any one of them? Of course not. All the information is separated from the written scroll. Why? Why not everything in one scroll? Few answers. One, it's very long as it is and very heavy. As you can see, most people cannot even pick it up. It's very heavy. Second, if you had to put all the oral laws, the size of the Torah would be, you need a semi-trailer to move it. I'm not joking, because it's very, very long. You would need 15 people to carry it. It's not practical. You cannot move it. You cannot learn in it. It's not realistic. But the main reason is not that. The main reason God did not want all the nations of the world to copy the Torah for themselves and pretend they are Jews. Why? Everyone in the world saw that the Jews received the book from God for the first and last time in history. It's a public event. The whole world is shaking. Just like September 11, the whole world was in shock. When the Jews received the book from God, the whole world was shaking. Within the first generation, the Torah was translated to 70 languages. Now, if the Gentiles would have all the instruction in the written book, what would prevent them to pretend that they are Jewish? Beard everyone had in those days. Yarmulke, hats everyone had. Somebody come one day to a Jewish area. What's your name? Yaakov. What's your father? Yosef. Now, there's no internet, no phone calls that you call to check if he's a Jew or not. He comes and he says, I'm Jewish. He has tefillin, because he learned in a book how to make. He has tzitzit. He knows how to slaughter the animal. He knows everything. He keeps Shabbat. Everything, it's in a book. All the Gentiles also love God. They also want to be close to Him. Not only Jews. So they get mixed into the Jewish nation. Within 2-3 generations, there will not be any Jews left. Why? The rules of the Torah, when a Jew married a Gentile, the children are goyim, are Gentiles. Goyim, it's not a bad word like some people think. Many people, out of ignorance, they get angry for nothing. Goy means, in the language of the Torah, nation. Even the nation of Israel, God called them Goy Kadosh. Goy means nation, Kadosh means holy. The Jews are called in the Torah Goyim, but holy Goyim, holy nation. And there are nations that are not holy, that's all. So it says like this. If a man married a woman that is not Jewish, if this man is the worst Jew in a history, murderer, rapist, a thief, arrogant, not reliable, lazy, drug addict, you name it, and she is the most righteous Gentile woman ever in a history, loving God, dress modest, pray all day, never stole a penny. An incredible human being. Who is a better human being? This girl or that drug addict, murderer, rapist, whatever you want to call him? Who is a better human being? Huh?
Cannot tell.
Of course we can say. This Gentile girl is a million times better human being than that Jew, even though she's not Jewish. But this Jew is not allowed to marry her, even though it will be a bargain for him, such a loser to marry her. A great bargain, but he cannot do it. Why he cannot do it? Because of racism? Absolutely not. The Torah says every non-Jew can convert to Judaism and become 100% a Jew. He doesn't have an obligation. It's very interesting. If you ask the Christians, if I won't become one of you, do I go to heaven? He say, no, you go to hell. You don't accept JC on you, you cannot be saved. You accept him as the Messiah, as the God or Son of God, whatever you want to call it. Then he will save you when he comes. It doesn't ever occur to him that he couldn't even save himself from the Roman, and they torture him and he was begging them not to kill him. He couldn't help himself. How he can help the world? Never asked himself a question like this. If he had divine power, why does he have to go a miles to go to a tree and count if the tree has fruit or not? If you, God, you need to go all the way to the mountain to see if the tree has fruits or not? God knows everything in the world. There's a lot of questions that we can ask. But one thing is very, very interesting. If you ask the Christians, can I go to heaven without becoming a Christian? The answer is absolutely not. You ask the Muslim, can I go to heaven without becoming Muslim? Absolutely not. Any other cult that believe in heaven and hell, you ask them, can I go there without becoming a member of your cult? The answer, absolutely not. You ask the Jews, I'm a non-Jew, I'm a Gentile. Do I have a way to go to heaven without converting to Judaism? The answer, absolutely. Of course, that's what God said in the Torah. You can be a righteous Gentile and you go to heaven. You have to keep the 7 major laws and some other laws, and that's it. And you go to heaven. Don't make the sins that apply to you as a non-Jew. If the Gentiles say to you, but I don't want to keep only 7 laws. I want the real thing. It happens to me all the time. I want to keep all the laws. Why are you telling me only to keep 7 laws? What, I'm not as good as you? I also want to keep everything. I want to keep the Sabbath. I want to eat kosher. What does the Jew answer to him according to the law? It's better for you not to. We are not missionaries, the opposite. We tell the Gentiles, better off you stay what you are. We're not telling you not to be a Jew, but we're recommending to you, stay what you are, you have heaven for sure. 7 laws, you go to heaven, don't take a risk. You become a Jew, you can lose everything. Only after 2 years he insists and doesn't give up, and you see that he's very sincere, you convert him to Judaism. Never in a history Jews went to non-Jewish countries to convince Gentiles to become Jewish. Only Christians put billions of dollars to force their religion, which is full of errors and all kinds of mistakes, on the rest of the world. Only Muslims wants to kill you if you're not going to be Muslim. The Jews tell you, stay what you are. Stay what you are, you're righteous. Why? Because they are the only one who has the truth. Every missionary cult is a lie. Why? It's all about joining the group. The only one that has the truth is the one who received it from God. Let me give you 2 examples and then we give time for questions. Going into the oral Torah, God said to the Jews, this is what you're allowed to eat from the water. How much water the world has? 72%. 72%. Almost 3/4 of the world is water. Very, very deep. All the way from here to Manhattan. That's how deep it is. Now I want to ask you a question. How many different kinds of fish, thank you, how many different kinds of fish we know in the archives? More than 40,000. One time I put kosher fish list. Wow, what a list. But that's nothing compared to how many fish out there. But the Torah did not speak about fish. Everything that lives in the water, any kind of water, lake, in your backyard, in your swimming pool, I don't care. Things that needs to live inside water, otherwise they die. We're not talking a dog. Dog can also be in a pool. Things, species that live naturally inside water. The Torah said to the Jews, I'm not going to start giving you the list of all the fish in the ocean. It will be all the way from here to Honolulu. Who's going to read the list? You know, one person would sit and read all the list and try to learn which one is kosher, which one is not. It's not realistic. God did it in 2 sentences. He said, "Zeh tochlu mikol asher b'mayim." This is what you're allowed to eat from the water. Kol asher lo kaskeset v'snapir tochelu. Everything that has scales and fins, you're allowed to eat. You want to know if it's kosher? You don't need to know the name. You don't need to know who caught the fish. You don't need to know from what country. You don't need to know how much cholesterol it has or not, or omega-3. That doesn't make it kosher. Only one thing. You see scales and fins, it's kosher. First time in your life you saw it. Fins. What does it mean, scales? You take a little knife, you scrape the skin, they begin to fall. They look like little dimes. That's called scales. Now we go to the oral Torah. The oral Torah says, the heat is making me dizzy. The oral Torah, the towel didn't help today. The oral Torah, the oral Torah, I told you before, you cannot understand one thing from the written Torah without going to the oral Torah, which was given together to Moses in Mount Sinai. The oral Torah say, everything that have scales have fins. Guarantee. Guarantee. Listen again. If you have fins, it's possible you don't have scales, like a shark and a dolphin. Smooth body, no problem. It's not kosher. But if you saw scales in the body of this species, for sure it's kosher, even if the fins were cut out. Let me give you an example. A person is in jail, lo alenu, and the person over there give him a raw fish, half, only the head. He doesn't see the fins. They were cut out. He doesn't know what kind of fish is that, but he sees some scales on it. One, it's enough. You scrape, it fell off. He knows he can cook it and it's kosher. Why? But he didn't see the second sign. The Torah say fins and scales. He only saw scales. But the oral Torah say, I created the world. I supervise all of them. I know what I made. I'm telling you, my son, everything that have scales have fins, guarantee. You will never find anything in the ocean that you scrape it and scales fell off, and you would not find fins in the same body. Now, since the Torah was written until today, the amount of fish in the water double or triple or maybe 10 times more. Why? They constantly get mixed, a simulation. This kind of fish with the other one, they create a new species all the time. But not only that, scientists in Florida, in Israel, in Eilat, in almost every country, they take different kinds of species and mix them artificially to create all kinds of beautiful new kind. The Torah promised from now until the end of time, no one would be able to create something that has scales and does not have fins. And if someone will make such a thing, Judaism is over everything. No more Yom Kippur, no more Shabbat, no more Tefillin, no more circumcision, no more Torah, no more nothing. No more the right to sit in the Holy Land. We lose everything. This is a huge risk. A faker cannot take such a risk. Only the creator of the world was able to write such a thing. What faker can write in a book, no one would find such a fish? How does he know? He watched the entire 72% of the world simultaneously with his two little eyes? He cannot read without his glasses 2 lines. How do you know there is no such thing in the whole world? I have a radar. I look now in the entire world, I see billions of things moving, and I'm telling you there's no such thing. Okay, you convince me that you have amazing eyes. But please tell me, how do you know that next week it will not be? Maybe kind A and kind B will mix, and they create something with scales without fins. You do not know the future. Don't worry, I have another radar. I read the entire future. You understand such thing? A person cannot take such a risk. Until today, 3,300 years, nobody ever found such a thing. The last example for tonight, the Torah says that the Jewish people follow the moon to determine the year and the months. Jewish months start by the renewal of the moon and finish by the renewal of the next cycle. From renewal to renewal. In the middle of the Jewish month, the moon is full. 15th of the Jewish month, it's full. Then after 15, it begins to decrease. From 15 to 30, decreasing. from 1 to 15, it's increasing. So far, everything clear? The Torah said, when witnesses come to the Jewish court to testify they just saw the renewal of the moon, the Jewish court has to announce that it's the beginning of a month. And then they begin to count the day manually to know when Passover is. 14th day of Nisan, 10 days Yom Kippur and Tishrei. You have to, there was no calendar yet. So you have to count the days from the minute you saw the renewal of the moon. And the Jewish court announced tomorrow everybody has to fast. The oral Torah teaching the rabbis a very important message, and we'll finish with that. They say, if witnesses would come before the minimal cycle, he may make the entire Jewish nation eat on the wrong day and fast in the wrong day. It's a very big risk. It will mess up the whole Judaism. So the Torah said to the Jews, the renewal of the moon, it's in oral Torah, in case you had a doubt about the oral Torah. The renewal of the moon can never be less than 29 days and a half and 2/3 of the hour and 73 parts of the minute. Let me explain. 29 days, everyone knows what it is, right? 24 hours in a day, 29 days, 29 times 24, that's the number. And a half, 12 hours. Half from 24, it's 12. And 2/3 of the hour, 40 minutes. And 73 parts of the minute, it gives us 2 minutes and change. So it actually tells you that the renewal of the moon in any future cycle until the end of time will never be less than 29 days, 12 hours, and 42 minutes and few seconds. Which gives us, in math, 29.530590. Something like that, a human being was unable to write 3,000 years ago. For sure not. There was no calculator, pocket calculator we didn't have. When I was a kid, I just invented calculators. I remember the first one who came to Israel. You needed to take a mortgage on them. Today you buy them in Chinatown for a quarter. I remember. And everything you say, you get the answer E. Error. Why? It has a little Kurdish brain. Or Polish in America. Whatever. You know, in Israel they make a joke. So one Kurdish guy, he went to Japan. And he saw Mr. Uwasaki in the lobby of the hotel. He has an aquarium over there. And he goes like this, and the fish moves to the left. The Japanese guy moves to the right, the fish moves to the right. So the Kurdish guy asked him, what are you doing? He said, the fish has such a small brain, it takes a second to hypnotize him. Once you hypnotize him, everything you do, he does automatically. So the Kurdish guy said to him, can I try? He said, yeah, let me go to the bathroom, I'll be right back. 2 minutes later, the Japanese came back, you see the Kurdish guy standing in front of the aquarium, and he goes like this. The fish hypnotized him. Another joke, or it's enough? One guy. 3 guys went to rob a bank. A Moroccan, Persian, and a Kurdish guy. They went to rob a bank. The alarm went off, the police came. They put the Moroccan on the street to scream if the police comes. So the Moroccan sees sirens all over. He screams to them, police, come out. So the Persian and the Kurdish running out quickly. Now they have 5 seconds to find out where to hide. Middle of the night. So they say, let's jump under the cars. But there was only one car, one motorcycle, and a donkey standing over there. So right away the Moroccan saw the car, he jumped underneath. The Persian got stuck, he jumped under the motorcycle. The Kurdish is looking around, you see the donkey, he jumped under the donkey. The police came, you see the Moroccan guy said, what are you doing under the car? He said, I'm trying to fix a leak. He said, yeah, 2 o'clock at night with no tools, get in the car. They arrested him. They come to the Persian, same thing. What are you doing here 2 o'clock at night? I'm trying to fix the motorcycle. Get in the car. Then they come to the Kurdish guy. He looks at him and said, excuse me, what are you doing 2 o'clock at night under the donkey? So the Kurdish guy said, hey, leave me alone. Don't you see I was just born? I have a few ones later on. Now, shh. NASA decided to check the renewal of the moon cycle, investing lots of money and lots of people and many years of research. NASA came to the number 29.530588. The Torah, 29.530590. NASA, 588. Fracture of a second. The Germans are a little bit more precise than the Americans. And they decided to recheck. In 1965, they checked. They came to the number 29.530589. Closer to the Torah. Who do you think was right? Adolf and Bruno? Or HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Now the question is like this. Let's be realistic. In a generation, there were no telescope, no spaceship, no mega computer, no calculator, none of the things we have today. The Torah comes to the Jews and say, listen, if witnesses would come less than 29 days and a half and 43 minutes, don't accept their testimony. They made a mistake. It's a cloudy day. It cannot be a beginning of a new month yet. Why? They came too short. Do you know a human being that knows all the cycles of the moon to 6 digits after the decimal point? And to be 100% right? The answer is, of course not. Only the creator of the world was able to do it. Shh. And right next to it, he said to the Jews, and this is my last things for tonight. Right next to it, it said to the Jews, dear Jew, if you review in my Torah, the more you learn, the more you know that this is my book and no one was able to write it besides me. You cannot take one letter out of the Torah because you will ruin all the mathematical codes that are hidden in a text. You take one letter from the middle of Torah, all the codes collapse. The answer to the people who ask, how do you know there's only one writer to the Torah? There is different styles. Maybe one finish and another one continue and another one. The answer is total nonsense. Why? Because only 20 years ago, with the help of computer, we found that the Torah have hidden codes inside. None of the writers were able to continue exactly from where the other one left without a computer. Because the only way to know the codes is to have a computer. Why? It would take us 80 years to do what the computer does in a second. 80 years. 80 years of work to find what the computer finds in less than a second. Without computer, there's no way to find the codes. The computer searched the entire Torah thousands of times. 305,000 letters almost. Tens of thousands of times in less than a second and show you all the mathematical skip. How long it's going to take us? 1,000,000 years. Therefore, no 4 riders, not 2 riders. No one was able to continue where the last one ended. Why? He died and he came and he doesn't know the secrets. Right next to it, it says to the Jews, if you keep Shabbat, you do not create fire on Shabbat, you follow the laws of Shabbat, you make Kiddush, you do not violate any of the restrictions of Shabbat, that will make you a member in a VIP club called the Chosen People. A Jew that does not keep Shabbat cannot consider himself a chosen people because his mother is Jewish. It's wrong. He never read the Torah. The Torah says clearly in more than 3 places, if you're going to listen to me and keep all my mitzvot, veitem li le'am sgula, you will become a special nation to me. Therefore, if you don't keep, you're nothing. You're no different than any other Gentile in the world. Your mother is Jewish, very nice. Your mother maybe was righteous and she's in heaven. The question is, what's going to be with you? That's the question. Now, when you review some of the things that I said, maybe it's not enough for you. For me, it's more than enough to know that the Torah is divine. Next step is to begin to read what God wants from us. If you still need more proofs, don't hesitate. This is right here a 4-hour film. I did not show even 5% from this DVD tonight. I thought I'm going to be able to do half. In the end, I did 5%. First, it describes how do you know there is a God. The more sophisticated is the creation, it indicates about the brilliance of the Creator. And you begin to see, I go one step after the other in a very logical way, that by the time you finish this book, you know the God. He gave us the written and the oral Torah. We are the only real religion in a history, the only one. There is not even one mistake in our book. There is life after death, and we are responsible for what we do, good or bad. We will either get rewarded or punished, depend what we chose to do. After you know that, you also know the purpose of life. I think I gave you a treasure. If you're clever enough, you will never stop thanking the Fellows family for inviting you here tonight. And maybe later you thank me, but I don't need your thanks. It's okay. Don't need thanks, don't need donations, don't need to vote for me for the government. Nothing. Nothing. The only reason I came here because I know how critical is the purpose of your life. Why? Most of the Jews don't keep the laws because they never learned the laws. Most of them were born and raised secular. Many Jews were brainwashed by the Christians with their tricks and lies to make them messianic and go into their cult, and they never read the Torah once in their life to know what they're living. I want to tell you something that may sound very strange, but I promise you I'm not lying. Until this moment, nobody in a history ever brought any evidence that JC ever existed. Do you know that? Check the Christian writings, not me, their writings. Christianity started between 70 to 300 years after JC died. According to all opinions, it was at least 3 to 4 generations until Christianity just started. Therefore, the first book that was written about JC, the writer never knew him. He never saw him. He has no idea how he looks and where he lives or anything about his life. Why? I can tell you anything about the grandfather of my grandfather. I have no idea who he was. I can tell you he walked on water. I can tell you he had wings. And I can tell you he had an eye from a glass. I can say whatever I want. If you're foolish enough, you believe me. If you're smart, you tell me, my friend, bring me hard evidence. Then I'll consider to join to your group or not. They do not have one sufficient evidence that there was even a person by this name. Do you understand what we're talking here about? As a matter of fact, in Krishna, there is the same story about a person that was born to a virgin, same exact story in a different cult, nothing to do with Christianity, which leads many experts to know that somebody copied it from another fake religion. This source was already traveling in the world. Someone made up that fairy tale. Nobody ever showed any evidence that this person ever lived. Do you understand what I'm telling you here or no? Maybe this whole story bichlal never happened. Somebody made it up, like Harry Potter. Many people think it exists. There are many kids who look for him in Great Neck here. They go to sleep with a dream. Tomorrow maybe they find him in a supermarket or on a school bus. Maybe in 500 years from now, people in the world would believe Harry Potter was the Messiah. Now let's give time for questions, please. As much as you want. You also have the CDs. Please do not leave without them. Go ahead, questions. Any question, don't hesitate, please. Yes.
Yes, through Matthew and John of the New Testament that you claim to be filled with lies, errors, and fallacies, were they an eyewitness to Jesus?
Were they eyewitness to
They
him?
claim to be eyewitnesses for Jesus.
No, they never saw him.
They never saw him.
No, the research that I
They're
made
not disciples.
never saw
They're
him.
not personal.
No, wait. The ones that wrote the New Testament from the first to the beginning, all 4 books,
Matthew, Mark,
admitted,
John. That's not the entire New Testament. That's the fact.
with the Acts also attached to them.
What about Romans, 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians?
Okay, now you tell me please, the ones who wrote Christianity, do they admit that they,
All Jews except Luke.
right, do they admit, do you admit that they started between 70 to 300 years after the death of JC?
Christianity was a derogatory term used towards Jews in the city of Antioch when they were called followers of the Christ or Messiah.
Right,
Those were the first people called Christians.
right.
Okay.
The ones that wrote, no, I have to tell you something. I did not agree with anything that comes from Christianity for one very,
I'm not claiming
for,
I'm talking about Jews.
no, 1 second.
All Jews following Jesus.
Okay, now listen. Many Jews today tell a lot of fairy tales about the rabbis as well.
Follow Jesus?
Of course they did.
In the time of
Today there are Jews who follow him.
Jesus, did Jews follow Jesus?
Sure.
Now what?
According to the story, if he ever lived.
Right. Now, what happened to these Jews when they hung him up on a tree, beat him, mocked him, and crucified him? What did they do?
You tell me, what did they do?
What does the New Testament tell us?
No, I don't know. I didn't read every word there.
So wait, you just called the book of lies today, filled with lies. Have you
Yeah.
ever read it?
No, of course I did. But I did not read the whole book.
Oh, which book?
It's enough.
Once the beginning's a lie, you don't read further.
Exactly.
Well, the beginning is not a lie.
Wait. Shh. Wait. The first page. Explain to me the genealogy, please. Wait.
Relish the opportunity to debate you on.
Wait. One second. First take this and watch it, please. Pass it to him.
I'll watch anything. I've heard you.
Wait. Please explain to me the genealogy question that I asked.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead.
That is no problem.
Let's go.
One in Matthew, described in Matthew,
Yeah.
is through Joseph, his father.
Right.
Not his father in sexual act.
Right.
His father in growing up act. And in Luke, which is the other genealogy of Jesus,
Yeah.
that is through his mother Miriam,
Okay.
or Mary, better known
Yeah.
in today's world.
Wrong.
Wrong.
Because it does not say a word about Miriam in the list. I checked that.
Okay, we can go.
Nothing. And plus, wait. Plus, the Torah say genealogy only goes by the father. Lemishpachotam, lebet avotam. Wait. The Torah it came from the same God. If your father is a Kohen, you're a Kohen. If your mother is a Kohen, you're not a Kohen. The genealogy only goes by the father. Therefore, you just told us something that is a lie. It cannot go by the mother.
So they can't have a mother genealogy.
No, nowhere in the Torah it says clearly you don't go by the mother.
No mother genealogy.
No, absolutely not. Not nowhere in the Tanakh you find. Now only, please explain, wait, explain to me please, how all of a sudden Jacob went to Egypt with 75 people if the Torah says 70?
Where in the New Testament are you referring to?
I gave you a CD, you have all the sources
I
inside.
read the chapter and verse so I can read. This
Everything is there with the sources.
No problem.
Okay.
But you must admit, the New Testament rises and falls on one thing about Jesus. One thing and one thing alone is the Messiah. And that is if he's alive or dead. If he is dead, then you are correct. This man is a fraud. This man is a liar, and he should be thrown out to all liars and frauds.
Yes.
But if he is alive,
Yeah.
he is worth following.
Where is he alive? Show me. Where is he?
In the Psalms, interestingly enough, because you believe in the Psalms, correct?
Yeah.
Psalm 110, verse 1, says, I only know English, I don't know Hebrew.
Okay.
The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make thine enemies your footstool. When Jesus ascended to heaven after the 50 days of being on earth, right, he was on the Mount of Olives and he quoted that psalm to his disciples. So, he is at the right hand of God, waiting to return to earth, like the Old Testament says. It also says in the book of Zechariah, one of the prophets that was that you would refer to as a prophet of God. Am I correct?
Yes.
Good. It says that one day the Jews will weep and mourn over them that he pierced. So there's many talks in the Old Testament about Jesus. This is just one.
There's not even one.
There's plenty.
You and your friends are
Friends?
experts. No. The ones who are the missionaries
missionaries?
are experts in manipulation and taking things out of context. Let me give you an example. When I had When I had the debate with this priest, he told me it says it's not you. I said with the priest, not you.
I don't recognize the priest because the priests are from a Catholic religion that has
No. It was a Christian professor.
Just because he calls himself a Christian doesn't mean he's a follower of Jesus. Just like there are Jews who believe in Buddha.
Okay, now tell me.
Jews who are atheists.
Yeah, now tell me.
Jews who believe that you shouldn't be following the Sabbath.
Does it?
You would not recognize
Let him answer.
Does it say in Isaiah that the Messiah will be born from a virgin?
Now, you're going to say the word Alma means young woman.
Of course.
Of course.
Ask any Israeli in the history.
Fine. But Alma is also used in Rebecca, in what Rebecca was. Alma was also used in David's concubine.
Alma used for every young woman, whether she's a virgin, whether she's a not.
So was David's concubine virgin?
No, again, according to you, Alma means only a virgin.
No, I didn't say that.
According to Christians, that's what it says. That's how you present it.
I believe Isaiah 7:14 is properly translated that the young woman is a virgin. Correct. In the same way,
You believe.
David's concubine.
Can you prove that that's what he meant? When the Hebrew language always in the history claimed that Alma means a young lady.
Okay.
Nothing to do with whether she's virgin or not. Nothing. But you interpret that to be a virgin to match your story.
No, not true.
Why not true?
Totally not true.
I asked in a debate 750 people, can you tell me what the word Alma means? All of them screamed, young girl. Now one screamed a virgin. And we know a little Hebrew better than you
Other
know.
times in Scripture that we both believe in,
Yeah.
because I recognize the Tanakh as the Word of God,
Right.
that the word Alma is also used for other women besides Miriam as a virgin.
Now can you tell me, based on what you say, that you recognize the Tanakh,
Yes.
in the book of Matthew 5, verse 17 to 19,
Good.
can you tell the audience, if you're not, remember, I'm going to help you. Can you tell the audience what's the instruction that JC left for his followers before he died? Matthew 5,
That's not what he left for his
Ma-
Sermon on the Mount.
Matthew 5, verse 17 to 19.
I could look it up.
I'll tell you, I'll save you time, and you can confirm if I'm right or wrong. He say, I do not come to contradict the Torah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I came to fulfill the Torah.
Absolutely.
If heaven and earth will be destroyed, you cannot erase one letter from the Torah, even a part of the letter. If anyone will change one of the commandments of the Torah and will teach to people otherwise than the commandments of the Torah, he will be cursed by the kingdom of heaven. Did JC say it according to the New Testament or no?
Oh, so you believe that?
Wait, I ask you, did he say it or not? I didn't say I believe it. For me, it's total nonsense. But for you, according to you, you claim he said it. Did he say it? Yes or no?
I believe it 1,000,000%.
Okay, why don't you listen to him? Wait, one step at a time. Why don't you listen to him? Why you don't keep Shabbat? If you admire him so much, you must listen to him. Why? He say you're not allowed to change one letter from the Torah, not one commandment. Without knowing you, I put my life on the line that you don't keep even 1% of the laws of the Torah. Without knowing you. Yes.
And without knowing you, I guarantee you don't keep 613.
Now we don't have 613 applies today.
Oh, okay.
The ones that apply, I try to keep.
Myself, try, but we all fail. Would you admit that or not admit that?
Wait.
To everyone in this room, including me.
So you believe that Christians have to keep Shabbat, according to you?
I'm a failure in keeping the Torah.
Oh, so you, according to you, all Christians have to keep the Torah, no? According to what you just said.
According to God,
The fact that they fail, it's another
all
problem.
believers in him should keep his word.
But that's not what the Pope say.
I don't care what the Pope says.
That's not what all the pastors say. The pastor said the Torah is obsolete.
I'm not believing it in pastor.
The Christians say the Torah is obsolete.
Okay. Anybody who says that is not a believer in the Word of God, and is not a follower of Jesus, who are the Jew.
Now tell me, please, how is it possible the cave of Abraham moved to the city of Shechem when it's everyone knows it was always in
I
Hebron?
heard that tonight. I do believe there is a good answer. I do not have
There's
it
no
tonight,
answer. We're waiting
but
for that
I'll
answer
gladly
5
admit
years
that.
already.
I will give an answer to that.
Yeah?
In fact, I'll come back and give an answer to that.
Yeah.
I know there is one. But the real question is Jesus alive or dead? And
There's no proof that he even existed. You're arguing with me if he's alive or not?
Josephus, as a historical Jew historian,
Yes.
he talked about Jesus as
Where?
a human being.
Where?
In his writing.
What did he write?
Should I bring that?
Yes?
Okay.
Read it to
Now,
me.
if I bring Josephus testifying that he existed, and so did his disciples, will you, at least your opinion of the existence of Jesus change?
If Josephus would write his name clearly,
Oh, now we're gonna...
according to you, everyone who moves it can be JC. Because you want to prove...
I didn't say that.
Bring me a solid proof that this person existed. For instance, Christopher Columbus, Napoleon, I never saw them, but I know they existed. You understand?
Jesus didn't exist.
No, according
Did he exist or not?
according to scientific evidence, nobody ever saw him.
So Jesus didn't
Check,
exist?
go Google. You don't have to believe me. Anybody ever saw him?
That's all I'm asking.
I say there's no
I say
evidence.
he exists.
No. You see, this is what I don't like.
How about Moses?
Let's not be manipulators here. I didn't say for sure it did not exist. I said there is not even one evidence in a history to Christians that there was such a person in existence. Maybe it was, I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, nobody ever showed a sufficient proof that he existed. Now let's do one step at a time. Before we argue, wait. Yes. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. No. Yes, we do. You know how we know? How? First of all, I explained to you that the Torah did not start with the dream of a woman or
The New Testament. That's, to say that the New Testament started with a dream of a woman is not accurate about the New Testament.
The whole story of JC started with a woman who became pregnant from Ruach HaKodesh, from the Holy Spirit. Without that, we had Christianity, yes or no? Without the story of the dream of Mary, Christianity would ever start, yes or no?
No.
Without that dream, that one day a pregnant woman claimed that God came to her in a dream.
Clearly, I'm not denying that Jesus.
Now, do you want?
From the Ruach HaKodesh.
I have to tell you, what's your name? You don't look to me a foolish guy at all. But I want to tell you something. How would you believe a book that started with saying that the whole religion is based on a dream of a woman who had all the reasons in the world to lie to save her life? Remember, if she would not make that story, she'll be dead. How do you gamble and take all your life on such a thing?
How can God be God's descendant? It can be David's descendant if God is the father of Jesus.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a lot of questions for you. I mean,
I like what Howard said. How can it be that Hashem is David?
why would you waste 2 pages almost to prove that Joseph is a grandson of King David, and right after that you say that Joseph is not the father? It's not the father.
He's not the father in the sense of sexual intercourse. He is the father in the sense that he was the husband of Mary.
Thank God you say that. Thank God you say that. Wait, don't help me. Thank God you say it. You know why? Because in the Torah that you believe in, it says that a son is only someone who came from the seed, the sperm of the man. No adoption. If you're a Cohen and you adopt a kid, the kid is not a Cohen. Okay? Now, seed, the Torah used the word zera, mizera. Zera means seed, not adoption, not godfather. None of this nonsense. Do not modify the words of God.
I'm not modifying.
That's what you just did. No. Excuse me. You just say Joseph is the adopted father. We don't care about adoption.
Of Isaiah 7:14, that's number one. Number two, the new
No. Wait, excuse me. Why did you jump to Isaiah now? I'm asking you about this, about the genealogy.
that is when we first find out that Mashiach will be born of a virgin. But secondly,
No, wait. Excuse me. Wait a minute. I'm asking you one question. You jump to something we spoke about 5 minutes ago.
but wait,
I say to you now, tell me please, Why did you waste a page and a half to prove that Joseph is the son? And wait. Why did you pay that? Why you brought? Shh, please. Why did you waste a page and a half to show all the genealogy until Joseph the carpenter, when right after that you made a huge critical kindergarten mistake that Joseph is not the father of JC at all, and therefore is not from the family of King David, and is not the Messiah, and your whole religion is all fairy tales. That's it. That's it. Be honest. Admit.
You're basing your argument on that, which can be
Based on your belief. You said that you believe in the Tanakh.
1,000%.
That's it.
But I'm saying the New Testament doesn't rise and fall on any argument you make tonight, except if Jesus is alive or dead.
Not true. Wrong. I'm shaking the foundation of your religion. And you talking to me if he's alive or not?
He was crucified. We all can agree if he existed, but you don't believe it. But history tells it. The whole thing rests on whether he's...
I'll tell you what, let's agree on one thing. I gave you a debate. It's 3 hours. It's very interesting. For you as an intellectual person, I promise you won't regret watching it. Now I'm gonna make a deal. I'll make a deal with you in front of the whole thing. Please answer any one of the questions that I ask over there, and I will publish it on my Facebook page that have hundreds of thousands of views there. Every one of your answers in your name with your picture if you want. That's the deal. And now you remember, if you make a fool out of yourself, don't blame me for publishing you. If you answer all the questions, you won. You won the argument. I'm going to be the fool. Remember, one of us will have a very big embarrassment. Because my debate, not one Christian in the world was able to answer one of the questions until now. If you answer all the 50 questions over there, here everyone is my witness here. I will publish it in the media.
How about if you make one mistake?
No, one mistake, it's not from God. It's too much. One mistake, it's not from God. No, not me. I'm not God. One mistake inside the text, it's not the book of God. The cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is not in Manhattan. It's in Hebron. If it says that it's in Nablus, the book is nonsense. Every other second you waste on that, it's nonsense. Excuse me, I just want...
If I were to get an answer...
Yes. I publish all your answers. All your answers. Here, I gave you an opportunity of a lifetime. Maybe you save the dignity of millions of Christians who were asking me questions, not millions, but many thousands that over the 5 years were trying to get one answer straight, and I'm still waiting for it. I give you an example. They told me, you know what, you have to debate, what was his name? Some Jew that is a very big missionary. You have to debate him. I said, no problem, I'll debate him, no problem. So I sent him an email. I told him, I'm willing to debate you in public, but I want you to answer me only 3 of the 50 questions that I ask in a debate. Send me an email. If you answer me those 3 questions, any three you want, you choose. Then we will schedule a debate. You know what he answered me? He said to me, I answered them in my books. I said to him, I don't have your books. He said, go buy my books and you'll find the answers. So I say to him, I'm sorry, I'm with you right now with email, it will take 5 minutes. Copy, paste from your book, from your word, and send it to me. Until today, I'm waiting for him.
I would like to take that challenge.
Yes,
If I can answer
I just gave it to you.
If I can answer 3, will you have a...
I already gave it to you before you asked.
No problem.
That's it.
I'm asking you,
We
if
have-
I answer 3, will you have this debate?
If
Will you give me that same opportunity to have the debate with you in a legitimate setting?
Yes.
And one,
Yes.
where we're both truthful.
Yes.
And if I can answer 3 of the questions.
No, not 3. You have to answer all the questions.
Now I have to answer all.
I tell you why.
You have to answer
No, I tell you. No, I tell you why. I tell you why. Because with all due respect to you, this person was very famous in Christian world. It was very good for me to crush him to pieces in public. But with you, first of all, nobody. No. I say with all due respect. I say with all respect. I say with all due respect.
I happen to know the head of a very famous Christian organization that you all probably hate called Jews for Jesus.
Yeah.
So if he could answer these questions, 3 of them, would you debate him?
No, again, why should we repeat the same debate? Because I'm going to present the same 50 questions to the new guy. If I already know they cannot answer it, what for? You tell me.
One of the worst enemies of all Judaism, head of Jews for Jesus.
No, I tell you why.
Why?
I tell you why. When a Jew that doesn't keep any laws, listen.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to tell you something that will shock you. A Jew that is secular, that doesn't keep any laws, and someone like you, which is a Jew for JC, there is no difference in the opinions of God about you or him whatsoever. I tell you why. The Jew that doesn't observe the Sabbath and doesn't keep the covenant, and he did not accept the law of the Torah on him, on his daily life, he basically told God, I'm not interested in the covenant you made with us in Mount Sinai. So he's a violator of Shabbat and many other sins. But Shabbat is the foundation. Therefore, if this Jew, God forbid, I hope it will never happen, but if this Jew died tomorrow, he has no share to the world to come. Same thing you, no difference. You believe in idol worshipping?
No, I do not.
Yes, what you are. JC is your idol. You believe in a fake God.
No.
Excuse me. The 10 Commandments say you should not have any other God but me. Therefore, making God a son and taking another person and calling him God is a serious violation of the 10 Commandments. But let me tell you something.
God himself said yes.
But let me tell you something.
In the Old Testament.
Where in the Old Testament God say he has a son?
God said he has a son in the Old Testament. Now, if I were to show you that, you change all your views?
No, God said to all the Jews, you are my children.
It's not
I got a
mentioned.
question. Does my wife have to have her skirt down below her knees or above her?
Below the knees.
Below the knees. Why is it?
Because above the knee, it's already a desirable part of the woman's body in the eyes of a man.
That's why he made it.
Above the elbows, above the knees, it's already called in the Torah erva. וראה בך ערווה דבר ושב מאחריך. If a man, it's no problem, but it's also not such a big respect to walk with shorts in the street, right? But it's not a violation of the law of modesty. It's a different story, but it's not a violation. By women, modesty is critical. So now we concluded that after you watch the debate and you send me an email with the answer to all your questions, I will publish them and let's see what the public has to say about what you answer. So far I'm waiting for very famous names to answer one question and I didn't get any. Maybe you save the reputation of JC. Any more questions?
Save the reputation, I don't think so.
Any, in my eyes at least. Okay, yes.
When are you coming again?
Thank you very much. I'm always available. You find a date, you invite me, I come. Thank you very much for coming. We'll see you soon, Bezrat Hashem again. Thank you very much.